I'll never forget the expression on Patricia Bellwether's face the moment she used her HOA master key to break into my home. She froze in the doorway, the key still dangling from the lock, eyes wide, mouth agape, staring straight at the two police officers lounging on my couch like they lived there. Officer Thompson glanced up from his coffee and, in the calmest voice imaginable, said, Well, right on time." Patricia's eyes went full saucer mode. Her clipboard slipped from her hand and clattered to the floor. She stumbled backward, caught her heel on my welcome mat, and went sprawling face first into my potted geraniums. Let me rewind a couple of weeks to explain how we got here. My name's Daniel Morrison. After 30 years in corporate accounting and a blissfully early retirement, I had just moved into a charming ranch-style house at 4729 Maple Grove Circle in the picturesque Riverside Heights subdivision. Blue shutters, a tidy little garden out front, the works. My plan? Peaceful mornings with crossword puzzles and afternoon naps. What could possibly go wrong in such a quiet, manicured neighborhood? Enter Patricia Bellwether, HOA president and enforcer of suburban perfection. She wore her authority like a 5-star general, complete with a laminated badge that said President in bold, blocky letters. She first appeared at my door precisely 3 days after I moved in, armed with a clipboard and wearing a blazer so stiff I'm fairly certain it could stand up on its own. "Mr. Morrison," she declared, no greeting, no smile, "I notice you haven't submitted your landscaping approval forms." I explained politely that I hadn't changed a single thing about the landscaping. Her lips tightened into a disapproving line as she jotted something down. "Pre-existing conditions still require documentation. Also, your mailbox is 0.7 inches too tall." From that moment on, Patricia seemed to make it her personal crusade to root out every possible violation on my property. She measured the height of my grass with an actual ruler. She scolded me because my garden hose was coiled counterclockwise instead of clockwise. She even attempted to cite me for my beige curtains, claiming they created her words, an aesthetically disruptive neutral zone. When I declined to change the curtains, she hissed through clenched teeth, "We'll see about that, Mr. Morrison. The HOA has its ways of dealing with noncompliance." Things escalated. Patricia began parking across the street for hours, snapping photos with a telephoto lens. At HOA meetings, she started spreading rumors, saying she'd seen suspicious deliveries at my house. The so-called suspicious delivery? A microwave from Best Buy. She told neighbors I was running some sort of secret business because she saw me carrying a laptop bag. She even filed a complaint about the font on my house numbers, calling it aggressively modern. But the final straw? The bird feeder. I installed one in my backyard. Just a simple, standard bird feeder. The next morning, Saturday, 7 a.m., Patricia showed up at my door, pounding on it like a SWAT raid, yelling about unauthorized wildlife attractants. When I pointed out that bird feeders weren't mentioned in the HOA bylaws, she furiously scribbled on her clipboard and announced with smug satisfaction, "They are now. Emergency amendment passed last night." That was the moment I knew I had to take action. I installed security cameras, fully legal, clearly visible, and focused only on my own property. Patricia lost her mind. She began telling everyone I was spying on the neighborhood. She even called an emergency HOA meeting to address what she called the surveillance situation at 4729 Maple Grove Circle. I went to the meeting and calmly explained the purpose and placement of the cameras. Patricia turned bright red, sputtering about privacy invasions. Then 78-year-old Gladys Palmer raised her hand and said, "Patricia, didn't you install cameras at the community mailbox last year to catch people not closing it, right?" The room fell silent. Patricia opened her mouth, closed it, opened again. Nothing came out. After that, I knew retaliation was coming. I just didn't know how far she'd take it. First, it was small things. My trash cans were out of place. My doormat askew. Then one day, I came home and found my back gate wide open. Nothing was missing, but someone had definitely been in my yard. I filed a police report and handed over the security footage. The quality wasn't great, but the figure in the grainy video wore a stiff, unmistakable blazer. The kind that could stand up on its own. Officer Thompson, the one who took my initial trespassing report, shook his head with a sigh. "You're not the first to complain about this HOA president," he said, his tone edged with concern. "She seems to think those master keys give her carte blanche to enter any home she pleases." He explained that HOA master keys were strictly for emergencies. Think fire, flooding, that kind of thing, not for neighborhood snooping missions. Before leaving, he advised me to change my locks and handed me his card. "Call me directly if anything escalates," he said. I didn't realize how soon I'd need to take him up on that offer. The very next day, my security cameras caught Patricia standing on my lawn, peering through my windows with a pair of binoculars. I stepped outside to confront her, and she didn't even flinch. "I'm conducting a routine exterior compliance inspection," she snapped, waving her clipboard like it was a federal badge. "Get off my property," I said firmly. She muttered something about Phase 2 as she stomped away. I had no clue what that meant, but I had a strong feeling it wasn't good. I called Officer Thompson again to give him the update. He said he'd increase patrols and told me to document everything. That's when inspiration struck. If Patricia was up the ante, I needed to stay ahead of her. I took a few days off, kept up the appearance of heading to work each morning at 8 a.m., then looped around the block, parked out of sight, and slipped back into the house through the alley. Then I waited. By day 3, my little trap paid off. At exactly 8:45 a.m., I heard a key sliding into the front door lock. But I wasn't alone. I had already called Officer Thompson that morning and filled him in on my plan. He and Officer Rodriguez had entered through the back and were quietly sipping coffee in my living room, munching on donuts I'd picked up from the bakery down the street. We all turned our heads toward the front door as it slowly creaked open. In stepped Patricia, clipboard in one hand, measuring tape in the other. She was muttering to herself, completely unaware of her audience. "Check for unauthorized modifications, possible interior violations, curtains too beige." Then she looked up. She froze mid-step, her face drained of color. Her clipboard slipped from her fingers, pages fluttering to the floor like awkward snowflakes. Officer Thompson stood up slowly. "Patricia Bellwether," he said in his most official tone, "you're under arrest for breaking and entering, criminal trespass, and violation of Texas Penal Code Section 30.05. Patricia's knees buckled. She sank onto my entryway rug, stammering about emergency inspections and HOA protocols. Officer Rodriguez shook his head. "Ma'am, measuring someone's curtains does not qualify as an emergency." As they placed her in cuffs, Patricia kept waving that master key like it was some sort of sacred relic. "I have the authority. This key gives me the right." Officer Thompson sighed. "The HOA doesn't override state law. Patricia, you can't just barge into people's homes because you don't like their mailbox height." Her face shifted through several shades of red and purple as the full reality hit. She started babbling about her real estate license, her reputation, how she was just trying to maintain standards. Luckily, all of it, every last second, was captured on my security cameras. Within hours, the news spread through Riverside Heights like wildfire. My doorbell didn't stop ringing all afternoon. Neighbor after neighbor showed up to thank me. Apparently, Patricia had been tormenting the entire subdivision for years, but no one had ever managed to catch her in the act. Gladys Palmer showed up with a fresh-baked apple pie and said with a wicked grin, "I've waited 5 years for someone to stand up to that woman." The next HOA meeting shattered attendance records. With Patricia out of the picture, people finally felt free to speak. One by one, neighbors came forward with horror stories. She'd entered homes to measure the distance between furniture. She'd opened people's mail to check for unapproved magazine subscriptions. She'd even snuck into backyards at night to count decorative stones. The board voted unanimously to remove her from office and ordered all HOA master keys replaced. 2 months later, Patricia's day in court arrived. I testified about the harassment and the break-in, backed by security footage and detailed notes. Several neighbors also testified, recounting their own disturbing run-ins with her. Her lawyer tried to argue that she believed she was acting within her authority, but the judge wasn't buying it. "Mrs. Bellwether," The judge said sternly, being HOA president does not make you law enforcement. It does not give you the right to violate residents' privacy or enter their homes without permission. Patricia was found guilty on all counts. She received 2 years of probation, 300 hours of community service, $5,000 in fines, and a permanent ban from serving on any HOA board in the state. As the sentence was read aloud, Patricia's face crumpled. She turned to me with tear-filled eyes and whispered, "I was just trying to protect property values." The judge didn't miss a beat. "The only value you've harmed here, Mrs. Bellwether, is your own.